Okay, so continuing on. Um, so we're looking at this breakout by operating system. And so 70% are what I call SDPPC domain clients. Um, but we've actually got, what's nice to see here is we've got a lot of Chromebooks up and running now. That's great. And we've got some non-domain clients. Those are most likely going to be personal devices which are logged in onto SDPPC guest. This graph is giving you a breakout by vendor. Now it's actually based upon the manufacturer of the wireless card. So a lot of these are Intel corporate. Now both the 3150 Windows laptops and the Chromebooks will show up as Intel because they have Intel wireless hardware in them. The Hon Hai will be some of the Windows, the Dell Windows systems, the older models, which have Hon Hai wireless cards in them. Then we got some Apple devices, and then we got a breakdown of some Kindles, some LG and Samsung telephones. Interesting, but not all that important. So now we get to some slightly more interesting statistics here or information. So looking at the top 10 AeroHive devices by hours. And we look at these first two here, and we've got some retries, some 5 gigahertz retries, and some 2.4 gigahertz retries. Now, what that means is that a device has attempted to transmit a frame of information over the air, and that it was not successfully received, and therefore that the device had to retry the transmission. Really, that's just indicative of there being a lot of devices in a room all trying to use the channel. And when you bring up a full cart of laptops, you are going to get some level of retries. Basically, the way the system works, devices are kind of having to listen to the channel, determine that no one else is using the channel, and then start a transmission. And there is always the possibility that two devices in the room might try to start a transmission at the same time, and that will result in a collision and having to retry the transmission. So there's nothing particularly alarming about this right now. What would be interesting would be to look at that 10C9CO as a device where there have been a lot of retries, and to go up and see if that was also, if we go up to the top, that was the device where there was also the most transmitted data. So as long as there's a correlation between the amount of retries and the amount of data being transmitted over an access point, or the amount of clients on the access point, then you wouldn't be concerned. You might be concerned if there were a lot of retries, but the access point wasn't passing a lot of traffic. And again, if we were to look at our second most and third most, we got 154B80 and 1OD740. 1OD740 is definitely there. 154B80 is there with a lot of 2.4 gigahertz retries. So if we were to go 154B80, that makes sense because most of the traffic on 154B80 was 2.4. So it's interesting to look at that graph and to try to spot an access point where there seem to be a lot of errors, and that those errors don't seem to correlate to lots of clients or lots of traffic. Okay, so moving on, we're going to look at airtime and channel utilization. So I need to actually figure out what the difference is between those two.